First way is to switch over from apprenticeship frameworks to apprenticeship standards, because apprenticeship standards, the new style apprenticeships, attract more funding, and because the government top up the levy, that means the business will benefit from that increased level of funding. But that means a switch in style, because currently apprenticeship frameworks include the delivery of qualifications and apprentices are assessed along the way, whereas apprenticeship standards, the delivery of the programme continues throughout the apprenticeship, but the apprentices aren't assessed to the very end through what's known as an endpoint assessment. So it is a case of getting used to a new model, but it will attract more funding to switch to standards. So that's one good way of maximising the levy. The other way is to become your own provider. So many employers are becoming employer providers. So rather than paying for a training provider to come in and deliver the training, if an employer creates the infrastructure to deliver the training themselves, it's going to be much more cost effective and they'll get more out of their levy funds that way. They may not have the resource to do that initially, but if they upskill the staff or bring the right staff in a longer capacity, that's going to definitely help use the levy more effectively. And lastly, think about the different types of training the individuals within the organisation need. So there are a number of standards that are actually approved now for delivery and many more in the pipeline. So look at the staff requirements. Don't just think about delivering one type of apprenticeship standard. Think, what are the training needs of the staff, and try and offer a range of standards, and then you'll make more use of that levy payment. So small and medium-sized companies who don't pay the levy can also maximise the opportunities available to them. It's worth remembering that for SMEs, 90% of the cost of an apprenticeship is funded by the government, so the SMEs are only paying 10% themselves, which is a really positive thing. And also for employers with less than 50 employees, the government will fund 100% of apprenticeships for 16 to 18-year-olds. So that's one good thing. The other thing is the switch from frameworks again to standards, being more cost effective to offer standards because the funding allocation is higher. And it's a little bit harder for small, medium-sized businesses to create their own training in-house. But the Register of Apprenticeship Training Providers is the place that employers can source a recognised training provider to deliver those apprenticeships for them. And there are many organisations, providers, that have good reputation in terms of working with small, medium-sized businesses to offer that apprenticeship training. So the things to look out for is high quality training, evidence of that with the training provider, and also good completion rates. The positive thing about endpoint assessment is that the apprentice has plenty of time to develop their knowledge, skills and competence and behaviours for the job that they're actually doing during the apprenticeship journey. And when they're assessed, it's by an independent assessor, which is positive from the point of view it's someone who hasn't been involved in the delivery of the apprenticeship programme. So it's independent, they've had plenty of time to develop their skills, and they go forward for assessment when they're deemed to be ready to do that. So in terms of recruitment and career progression for apprentices who've done their assessment, it's worth remembering that they've been training whilst they're in the role, in the job role. So it's typical that they'd continue in that role and gain more experience and more practice at doing what they're doing and try different aspects of the job. And using the levy in terms of using it to its maximum potential, there's opportunity there for progression. If you took, for example, the leisure team member apprenticeship standard, which is in the pipeline to be signed off at the moment, someone might take that apprenticeship, then carry on in the role, of which there's different elements, and practice and build up their skills. Then at some point move on to the leisure duty manager apprenticeship for a career progression. That's going from level 2 to level 3, and start training in that new job role whilst they're working for the organisation. So it's a good method of career progression to actually move through different apprenticeship standard job roles, but also different levels with the company. And as well as that, in terms of recruitment, it's worth remembering that apprenticeship standards don't serve every role, and there's many other roles that are out there, such as yoga instructors, Pilates instructors, exercise referral specialists, level 4 practitioners, where good training and qualifications are also available. And they enable an organisation to employ someone with those skills more quickly than perhaps an apprenticeship can provide. So both have a place. You've got apprenticeships for developing skills, competence, behaviours over time, but you've got qualifications and training that serve the interests of the sector in shorter timeframes.